Hello, and welcome back to MoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the one and only Powerpuff Girls / JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recap and discussion podcast. I'm Raven, my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Alison, and my pronouns are she or her.
So, this is going to be the penultimate episode of Part 3. We're talking Dio's World Part 1 and 2 this week. So we'll just have, the one more after this, and we're going back to the Powerpuff Girls. Before we get into discussing the episode, though, just a reminder to, if you haven't already, to hit those subscribe, comment / review buttons, and if you leave us a review, we might even read it on the show. We'd love some more feedback.
And also don't forget to check out our other podcast, What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are discussing episodes of What We Do in the Shadows, and we're currently on season 4. But if you've never seen the show before, it's a comedy about vampires who live on Staten Island and they're familiar. So it's a pretty fun watch.
Yeah. It's very entertaining, and you might enjoy it if you'd like to see something about some vampires. They're significantly less evil than Dio.
And we might want to mention, we've been sick. So if we sound funny,
yeah,
that is what's happening.
Yeah, so, we might still sound a little off. I feel a bit better, but, I'm still coughing and sneezing a little. Okay. Dio's World Part 1. Polnareff comes face to face with Dio, who mocks him for getting this far. Polnareff tells him off basically for being such a bastard, and Dio's like, I'll make you a deal, join me and live. Polnareff's like, I don't think so. But as he tries to ascend the stairs to get to Dio, he looks down and realizes he's not as far up them as he should be. Dio's like, interesting choice, Polnareff. Could it be that you really do miss serving me after all? Polnareff tries and tries to climb, but is seemingly moved further down the steps with each step forward he tries to take. He wonders if this is the work of Dio's stand, but is like, no way, it can't be. Dio just sneers and mocks his every effort to move towards him. And then Polnareff's like, Dio's stand is the world? Like Aphrodite hadn't already told him that ages ago. I'm like, yeah, we talked about that. The world is the last of the major arcana.
Knowing what we find out about the world later, it's sort of weird. Dio would have had to move Polnareff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of odd. He would have physically had to pick him up and move him back down the stairs, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of,
He just really wanted to fuck with him, I think.
Odd thing to do.
Yes. Dio's an odd guy. And then Dio's like, everyone wants to feel peace and security. But how dare they want love and justice? Polnareff, I can offer you serenity by having you join me again. Polnareff is horrified because he thinks Dio's charisma is getting to him once again. And that's why he keeps backing down the steps. Dio tells him to turn his back on the Joestars and become his right-hand man. But with this talk of him becoming his right hand, I'm simply reminded of Game of Thrones, where they have that saying, the king shits and the hand wipes his ass. I feel like they would have that type of relationship if he had to be Dio's right hand.
I don't understand. I don't feel like Dio's necessarily nice to the people that are under him, that he, so I don't really get that part. He's sending them out to be killed, most of them.
Yes.
And I don't get this charisma.
I don't really either.
Maybe you have to experience it in person or something, but I am not feeling this charisma.
No.
And I also just wanted to, I have in my notes what Dio is now wearing.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's wearing this weird black bodycon undershirt with an open yellow jacket and baggy pants with green hearts and straps. It's very odd.
Yeah, he has yellow chaps on or something. His pants are weird.
Yeah, they are kind of like chaps.
The least weird part is his top that he's wearing under the jacket. It just looks like, well, except it's almost more like a leotard or a unitard going on.
That's why I said it was like a bodycon.
Yeah. The top part just looks like some shit an anime guy would wear, just like any random anime guy. Or like Leon from Resident Evil. I could see him in that. So Polnareff is still determined to resist for Avdol and Iggy. He sends Silver Chariot after Dio, and Dio reveals his stand, which he's all matchy-matchy with, because the stand is also very yellow, and it's got hearts on it. Then there's this crash, and Joseph, Jotaro, and Kakyoin, and the guy called Loser break through the wall. Joseph reassures Polnareff there's no need to worry, but then registers Dio up the steps. Dio is here! But then Dio, vanishes, real quick. Polnareff explains what happened with Dio on the stairs and tearfully explains that Avdol and Iggy died saving him. Joseph and the others are sad, but Kakyoin reminds them that the sun is going down, so they need to move. He demands that Loser, who is in a bag, tell them what awaits them upstairs with Dio. Loser tells them that Dio stays up there during the daytime and he has a little crypt or something. They go into Dio's creepy coffin room and Star Platinum punches out a boarded up window. Joseph is like, I sense Dio here, and I may never have met him, but his story is burned into my brain. Everyone has an inner monologue about their feelings in this moment, except for Jotaro for some reason.
Yeah, I wrote that too.
No thoughts, head empty. Joseph declares that they'll attack Dio as soon as he exits the coffin and makes Loser open it for him. Loser begs and grovels for Dio's mercy, and they yell at him again to open the damn thing. However, when they do, Dio is not in the coffin, but Loser is, with a mangled jaw. He freaks out. Joseph freaks out. No one is sure how he was instantly transported inside the coffin, but they're all McFrickin' losing it. Kakyoin doesn't think it's a mind trick or super speed, but definitely thinks Dio is just toying with him. There's this weird, scary wind, and Gramps makes to jump for the window, but has to grab Polnareff first, and he jumps out there with, the vines from Hermit Purple and grabs Polnareff with them. They all, as a group, free fall as they puzzle out what the hell they just sensed in there. And I think Kakyoin is just using also his sort of vine-like elements from his stand too. Kakyoin compares Dio's evil presence to sensing a nearby bulldozer just by hearing it. Gramps is like, it was as shocking as having an icicle shoved up my ass. And I'm just like, Gramps, how do you know what that feels like?
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Gramps is positive that they made the right choice in escaping when they did, or they would have all died. They all find a handhold on the sort of tower part of the mansion at the same time. They land, and Kakyoin wants to wait and come back when Dio's not at full strength, which Polnareff protests. Gramp is like, I'm as eager as you to get this over with, but says the tide of battle has turned and they still don't know what powers Dio's stand has. He wants to wait and observe the stand, which seems reasonable to me, but Polnareff is impatient and runs off. Gramps is upset and honestly probably having some flashbacks to Caesar running off by himself and getting killed, but Jotaro's like, well, he's not going to listen to us. Kakyoin asks Jotaro what they should do, and Jotaro's like, we should use this to our advantage to go after Dio from multiple sides. So Joseph and Kakyoin buy this guy's car off of him, and then we see Dio, brooding on top of a building, a cape that he's gotten since we last saw him blowing in the breeze. Polnareff is like, Dio messed with the wrong Frenchman. I don't even know what his stand does, but I'm gonna kill him myself. Jotaro shows up and is like, I came after you because I know how difficult it is to deal with stubborn guys like you, and I feel like Polnareff was sort of touched by this, that you came after him.
Yeah.
Dio decides he needs a car too and finds the car of a U.S. Senator, Senator Phillips, who I'm pretty sure he's named after Wilson Phillips.
I'm not sure why he didn't have, somebody to drive him around.
Well, it seemed like he did have a bodyguard, and, Dio, broke his arm, horrendously.
No, I mean, why does Dio himself not have...
Oh, gotcha.
Transportation?
I have no earthly idea. Because he seems like he'd be too good to learn how to drive. You'd ew, it seems like that's for peasants. But, yeah, why the fuck doesn't he have, one of his lackeys to do it. Yeah, so he breaks the bodyguard guy's arm horrifically and jumps in the car, forcing Phillips to drive for him. Dio yanks out his tooth and pulls the same trick on him that he did to Polnareff with the stairs earlier when the senator tries to leave the vehicle. The senator is both afraid of and obsessed with Dio, and now convinced that being a senator has made him invincible, which took like 2 seconds for him to come to this conclusion. Joseph explains to Kakyoin how he can sense Dio's general presence in the area because he has his grandpa's body, but that he can't pinpoint Dio's exact location, but hopes splitting up will be helpful. I think splitting up was a terrible plan. I'm like, you guys are sort of in a horror genre anime, like, why are you splitting up?
Well, I don't think they really had a choice.
Yeah, not with Polnareff running off.
I do think they kind of have to surprise Dio somehow. So
yeah,
splitting up sort of makes sense in that way, I guess.
Polnareff tries in vain to hotwire a motorcycle. Senator Phillips is stuck in traffic, and Dio orders him to run over the people on the sidewalk. Jotaro somehow kickstarts the motorcycle by kicking it, and Paul rides behind him on the bike. When we see Dio and the senator next, the car is covered in blood. Dio orders Phillips to speed up so he can get his stand in range of Gramps and Kakyoin. Hierophant Green's range, however, is longer, and Kakyoin sends an emerald splash his way, which Dio seemingly flicks away like BBs. Kakyoin even sends a concentrated splash after him, and Dio still dodges. Dio sneakily brought out his stand without Kakyoin noticing. Hierophant is caught off guard and knocked backwards into light poles. And then Dio's like, damn, he's been knocked out of my range. Kakyoin is bleeding and panting in the truck. Gramps tells him to be careful getting so close, and Kakyoin vows extra vengeance on Dio, saying that he'll never lose to him again. Kakyoin explains that he discovered that the world is a close-range stand, much more like Jotaro's than Kakyoin or Gramps'. Gramps tells Kakyoin to exercise caution when he notices something is off. Dio hurls Phillips at the truck and they crash. They escape to the rooftops first before Dio can get to them, however. Kakyoin tells Gramps he knows how to uncover the secret of Dio's stand. Dun dun dun.
I don't know, just sort of like a lot of stuff happening that they just kind of like had to react to. So I guess it's not really like kind of like a thing where you can be like, have an opinion about what went on. It's just,
right.
I don't know. I wrote in my notes that Dio could probably easily kill them at any time, but wants to play with them first, maybe? I just didn't.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, instead of just like freezing Polnareff and moving him on the stairs, he could have froze it and killed them.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have, like, snapped his neck or something.
And then I thought he wanted to drink, I guess, from Gramps or maybe Jotaro. Like he needed one more drink to make his body fully work for him. He could have froze time and done that too. So, well, I guess at this point, did we know that that's what he's doing yet? I guess not, right?
No, I don't think we quite know that he was freezing time. It's like, what exactly is he doing with the stand?
I mean, again, this whole thing could have been sped up. It's just like Dio just kind of, like, it's just like he laid in wait for them. And now he's going to pursue them. I don't know. Like, he drew it out long as possible.
Instead of just playing with them, he could have just stomped them out. But no. He has to be a drama queen about it.
Like, I mean, yeah, he had the ability. I mean, he could have traveled at night and caught up with wherever they're sleeping and just, like, killed them in their sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really have a lot of thoughts here, I guess. It was like a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
All at once.
A lot of stuff happened, and then, even though a lot of stuff happened, it's still a 3-parter.
Yeah. Okay, so Dio's World Part 2. Hopefully all this stuff makes sense. You can always interject if I have it wrong or left something out or whatever. Kakyoin looks down from the top of a building and says he knows how to discover the secret of Dio's stand. Kakyoin rides on Hierophant Green's back, while Gramps uses the vines of his stand to swing from buildings like Spider-Man. In a flashback, it is revealed Kakyoin's teacher is concerned about his lack of human connections. So, like, I'm not totally sure of the time frame there. He was a loner because of his stand, and that he would not be understood by anyone else until he met the Joestar group, who had their own stands and treated Kakyoin like a friend. So I guess that, I don't know, I guess if you watch the episode, spoiler alert, you know what happens to Kakyoin, but it's kind of like sort of explaining like why he kind of stuck with the group the way he did.
Yeah.
Because he felt finally like normal, probably, I guess.
Yeah.
Kakyoin lands at a clock tower and says he will make Hierophant invisible in order to reveal Dio's powers. Meanwhile, Jotaro and Polnareff arrive on the scene of the truck wreck. So, like, Gramps and Kakyoin were driving a truck previously. They can sense Kakyoin and Gramps on the run on the rooftops. I don't know why they have, like, spidey senses or whatever. Like, whatever. So can Dio, and he realizes they have split up. Suddenly, he is attacked by Hierophant Green, who has made a web of sparkly green. Anyone who touches the web will be fired upon. Emerald Splash! But Dio brings out the world, and Kakyoin flies backward across the street into a water tower, trailing a lot of blood from his midsection. He is paralyzed and has a huge hole in his middle. He realizes it was a fatal wound and briefly thinks about his parents, but then analyzes how Dio shattered the whole web in an instant. While Gramps freaks out over Kakyoin, Dio shows his neck scar and says he needs to drink Joestar blood in order to complete his transformation. I don't know how he knows that information, like one more drink is gonna fix it or whatever. I feel like maybe that's not true. I could maybe understand drinking Joestar blood might fix it though.
Yeah.
I think what I was gonna bring up was the world, what it looks like, and it's very forgettable.
Yeah.
Because it's probably one of one of the most boring of the stands, and it's like this whole time they had time to like make something cool, and it's not cool.
Yeah, it's really boring and bland, and I feel like a lot of the other stands have really cool designs, and then so we get to Dio and it's like, oh, that's it?
Yeah. Kakyoin realizes it has to do with time and tries to figure out a way to show the others. As Dio dives toward Gramps, Kakyoin shoots out a final emerald splash to attack one of the clocks. Kakyoin hopes Gramps can figure it out, which I had my doubts. Gramps grabs Dio with his purple vines, then books it out of there on his vines. When Dio says Gramps has a weak stand, which I guess Gramps probably does have one of the, like, as far as, like, trying to fight someone,
Right.
it's kind of weak. And maybe he'll find a way to kick his ass with it. But, okay. Gramps thinks over what happened and thinks perhaps Dio's stand has to do with time. That's impossible! I will say it again, because I feel like when I say that stuff, it doesn't always pick it up on the microphone.
Yeah.
That's impossible! Then Dio replays in slow-mo, stopping time, and chopping through Kakyoin's web, and then the world punches a hole through Kakyoin's middle. Dio and the world catch up with Gramps, and Dio realizes Gramps is covered in Hermit Purple's vines and Hammond. Gramps says he knows he can only stop time for 3 or 4 seconds, otherwise, he wouldn't be chasing them around. Gramps tries to shoot out Vines and Hammond, and Dio swings at him, and Gramps falls off the roof. Jotaro is across the street, but Joseph tells him to stay back. Dio admits Jotaro is out of his range, and Gramps is able to shout that Dio can control time. Dio brings out the world and stops time, and says as he heals, he can stop time for longer and longer. And insert he decapitates a cat. Dio was going to lay a hand on Gramps, but stopped because of the Hammond. So it's like there was a bunch of people outside there. I think they might have been like dining or whatever.
Yeah.
He does stuff to those people when he stops time, and then he like decapitates this cat. Dio throws a knife instead. When time starts again, the knife goes into Gramps' windpipe. Jotaro is upset, but Gramps says to stay back before he dies, that Dio is invincible. Jotaro comes forward so he can beat Dio's ass, despite Gramps' warning. Jotaro says their stands have a lot in common, like they are short range and have power and precision. The two stands fight hand to hand and appear about equal when it comes to punching. And then that was kind of like the end. So, I mean, like, Gramps died too. So we had like 2 deaths in that episode. I mean, I'm kind of assuming like Jotaro is gonna win. Probably Polnareff will die. But I'm not exactly sure how they're going to win.
Yeah, I don't quite remember like what all goes down. If I did, I would avoid telling you because I was not to spoil it.
Yeah, I just feel like Polnareff needs to sneak up from behind or something somehow. I mean, obviously, like, normally you would kind of be like, well, you can't just, like, stab people in the back. So I feel like Polnareff maybe wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
He'd probably be a ding-dong and, like, have to announce himself or whatever first.
fucking probably.
But, I mean, in this case, like, this guy is, like, a menace or whatever. He needs to die. So, like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's perfectly fine to stab such a person because he's just like killed a bunch of your friends.
In this case, yes. Like, I don't care if it's like dishonorable to like get your opponent when they're not looking or whatever. Like, he did all this shit while they weren't looking with his fucking time freezing powers.
Yeah.
Get his ass. Get his ass.
And then, like, I thought he wanted to drink their blood. He just lets Gramps. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I quite believe anything Dio ever says. Like, I don't, because I would feel like at the further you go, down the Jotaro, the Joestar family tree, the more diluted the bloodline is. Because like Gramps would be closer to Joseph's blood than Jotaro would be.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like every time you would cut it in half or whatever, like if you're looking at like pure blood status or whatever. I mean, you'd have to like marry your sister or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Like Gramps should be like a better source.
Yeah.
Of supposed Joestar blood.
Yeah, because this is Jotaro's grandpa's grandpa. Is whose body Dio has.
Yeah, that whole part of the story is just like wild too. That he just like took the body and then his head is on top of it.
Yeah.
I guess like Dio couldn't like really help that this made the other two get stands. I'm not totally sure exactly why he got a stand. I don't know that was ever like really explained well.
Not in this part, it certainly isn't.
Because I don't think that we knew that Joseph had a stand, right? Or is that who I mean? Joseph, the original dude.
That's Jonathan. Joseph is Gramps.
Okay, Jonathan. I don't know that we knew that Jonathan had a stand.
Yeah. We weren't even thinking about stands then, just Tommen.
Or was Dio born with a stand like say Abdul or something? I don't know. I just don't know that all of that makes sense. And I don't know if Gramps like loves his stand or whatever, which I know Gramps is now deceased. But like if they kill Dio, then it would end their stands, correct? Because that's their theory with Holly.
That's what they seem to think anyways, yes.
But I feel like Jotaro is pretty into his stand.
He does certainly love punching.
But I mean, I guess it is like a new thing.
Yeah, he's had it for like a month and a half.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what my point is, but I'm just like thinking of like the end game and like that they do defeat him. And
I guess I just have like some minor trivia about like what the world card is all about in tarot.
Okay.
So I don't have my deck right now because I forgot to grab it, but I'm using Labyrinthos, which is like what I use when I'm having trouble with just the simple tarot meanings in my booklet. So the keywords for the upright world are completion, achievement, fulfillment, sense of belonging, wholeness, and harmony. Well, it's kind of like the journey's end. I think it is actually the last of the major arc. Yeah, I think it is. And then in the reverse, it's lack of closure, lack of achievement, feeling incomplete, and emptiness. And the picture is kind of like there's this lady, and there's I don't know if it's like a wreath or it's like some sort of Ouroboros thing around her. She's like naked, and she has some sort of animal wrapped around her, and she has like these batons or drumsticks. And then around the wreath thing on each corner, there's a cloud, and on that cloud, there's like a bull, a lion, a blonde dude, and I think an eagle.
It's like Gramps just always going on about like I mean they knew the world thing existed, but that like well every time they meet a newsstand user almost it's like that's impossible like whatever
I
the
know.
skill is that they have with their stand. So I mean I don't know that stopping time is like super crazy.
Yeah.
Like that one, what was the one that was like it ultimately killed Avdol and Iggy? What was that one?
Cream.
I mean, what he could do with that, like taking people into the void or whatever, I feel like that's like almost scarier or creepier.
Absolutely. Plus that thing looks
Um,
like fucking a Balrog or something.
like just that someone could stop time and like he's really only doing it for like a really short period of time. I don't feel like that's super crazy. Like Jotaro's stand was like bringing him shit from wherever.
Yeah.
Although his is supposed to be a short range.
Yeah. It's basically bringing him like comics and beer.
Yeah.
So I guess I could have been like, oh, there's a convenience store across the street from the police station or something.
Well, like Gramps is almost like a fortune teller type thing, but that's like he could kind of see things from afar. So I don't know. I just
Yeah.
thought it just kind of like weird that they were just like couldn't fathom that he could stop time or
Yeah.
that's impossible.
There's so many different superpowers. Like, if they had even a tiny little bit of imagination. I know a lot of their stands are mostly just like punch and fight. So they kind of have like some really basic ones, our protagonists. But, like, I don't know, usually the bad guys have like their stands are a bit more complicated to deal with. So, not that weird. Yeah.
Sorry if I like interrupted you in the middle of that. But it was like
Yeah, that's my only real trivia. Though I will say I think maybe like I said before, the reversed meanings seem like they're slightly closer to the actual either the character or their stand. I know Dio thinks maybe this is gonna be like his big take over the world scheme because he thinks he's like gonna kill everyone and yeah. He's gonna like just absolutely obliterate everyone. I think the emptiness is probably like he will feel hollow if he does actually like even do that because like he was like almost sad like when he actually did kill Jonathan. It was like someone who actually like gave him a run for his money. I'm like he's gonna be bored.
yeah, I don't know why it seems like especially lately on like superhero movies and stuff where it's like the big bad guy like wants to kill everybody.
Yeah.
I don't really get the point of that.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you have like a lot of power or whatever, like if you just want to be by yourself, I'm sure there's ways for that to occur.
Yeah. Go to the moon like what's his face did in Watchmen, the blue motherfucker. Dr. Manhattan. Just go to the moon.
Have like a volcano layer, or
Yeah.
like you could have an underwater something or other.
Yeah.
I don't know. Come up with like some cloaking abilities. You can just take an island and cloak it nobody can find it or see it or...
Yeah, that's the problem with modern villains is they're not leaning into camp anymore. Where's their whimsy?
Like, kind of like just wanting to take over the world or like killing everybody. There's like
Yeah.
no imagination there.
Yeah. Send some freaking sharks with lasers on their heads after 'em.
Like, put them in a trap that they can easily escape, but you leave the room and you don't make sure that they actually die in that trap.
Yeah, or like do a monologue as they somewhat obviously start like lock picking their way out of the thing. And clearly they're only keeping you monologuing so they can get out of there. They don't actually give a shit about your evil plan, dude. Alright, so I think we're ending our discussion here. Next time we're talking about the last two episodes of Part 3, which are Dio's World Part 3 and Long Journey Farewell, my friends. So, those are me like I said, last two Part 3. We heading back to the Powerpuff Girls for a couple of weeks. It's only like 13 episodes and they're like half-hour ones. I think also... we maybe at one point talked about like doing the movie during that time period too. I'm not sure how we're gonna do that or if we still want to do that, but
I don't know where it falls in the timeline. So, I mean, I'm fine with that, but we might have to like pick out a big block of time to do that.
Indeed.
I probably am not going to want to watch it like 2 times.
Yeah, fair enough.
We might have to break that up into pieces.
Yeah, yes, I consider that as well. Like, I want to say it's like 80 or 90 minutes, so like we could just like do half of it one day and the other half the other or something.
But we were going to do those episodes because they're longer, right?
Yeah,
just one during each episode of the podcast, right?
Yeah, because they're actually like half-hour length ones instead of just like a couple of little 22 minutes. Because then we'd only have like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 episodes talking about that season.
Yeah. Pook understands.
Yeah.
Pook gets it.
And then after that, we will talk about part 4 of JoJo, and I'm so excited because, like, the part 4 JoJo is tied for my favorite JoJo with the part 6 JoJo, and also I just feel like it's a little bit of a fun season, or at least I find it fun.
I hope that we are done talking about Dio. This man better not survive. It better not be like his pinky toe survived.
Like some shit like at the end of the Iron Giant where we can see like just a single screw
he starts
wiggling.
Assembling himself again. Would blow him up or whatever, or like
I would have a stroke.
His pinky toe regrows the rest of the body somehow. I mean, bring back the Pillarman or something, but like not fucking Dio.
Yeah.
I understand some people are like way into him. I do not see any sort of appeal. I don't think at any like other than being maybe feel bad for him, like the way he grew up and like but he seems like he's like maybe he would have been bad either way.
Yeah, yes.
Like there's just some people who are evil from the start.
Yeah.
I think maybe this was him.
Yes, yeah.
Because even after he was shown kindness, he still chose to just keep going forward as an absolute douche canoe.
Yeah, he pretty much came on my shit list like the first fucking episode.
So like I don't see his appeal. I don't see the charisma, and he seems kind of just like haughty or whatever. And I don't really understand it.
I'm not sure if I really have a favorite JoJo, but it's not Dio, I will say that. I want to fight him in real life.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just want to steal Cars' hair. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, just Cars is like a favorite. He was like the nicest of them, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wanted to fight. Was he the one who didn't want to fight anybody? Or he was trying to be honorable or whatever?
That might have been. I'm trying to remember between Wamu and AC/DC, who was like the one that was super honorable. Cars was like the one with the big purple hair, and he got like the squirrel arm, and he got sent into outer space at the end.
Okay, I'm thinking of the one that had like it was almost like he had like the beads in the hair.
Yeah.
I don't think that was Cars then.
Yeah.
Anyway, they might be kind of like more interesting to explore because I think I've seen the limits of what's interesting about Dio.
Yeah.
But they have to have a bad guy, and we seem to keep going back to these same types of people. So, like, I don't really know what to think about what season 4 might be like. But
I don't know how to reassure you about the quality of season 4 without like spoiling.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't really have to tell me stuff, but all right, let's like wrap this
Yeah.
up. I think we were in the process, but then
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we're gonna end it here. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, depending on what platform you're listening to this on, like, subscribe/follow, comment, or leave us a review. We might even read it on the show.
And don't forget to check out what we pod in the shadows.
Yeah. So until next time, I'll be the roundabout. Goodbye.
Goodbye.